So let's talk about something we almost never think about. Nothing. It seems simple, right? But as we're about to find out, that one little word hides some of the deepest, most mind-blowing ideas in all of science and, yeah, even philosophy.
Seriously, take a second. When I say the word nothing, what pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably something kind of like this.
Right? An empty room. That silent, black space between the stars. Just a total lack of stuff. And that's our everyday, common-sense idea of nothing. But the reality? Oh, the reality is so much weirder. Turns out, nothing isn't just something. It's powerful enough to be a real force of nature.
Okay, get this. Back in 1654, a guy named Otto von Guericke stuck two big copper half-spheres together and then pumped all the air out, creating a vacuum. Then he got two teams of horses and had them try to pull the spheres apart. And you know what? They couldn't. The sheer pressure of the air outside, pushing on the nothing inside, was stronger than all those horses combined. That's the power of nothing for you.
So what von Guericke made was an absence of air. But modern physics started asking a much, much deeper question. Can you ever have an absence of, well, everything? And the answer to that completely flipped our understanding of reality on its head.
See, the old-school classical idea of a vacuum was pretty simple. It was just an empty stage, passive, boring, just waiting for something to happen. But the quantum vacuum, that's where the party is. It is the action. It's a buzzing, energetic, totally unpredictable foam of activity. And all this activity comes from something called quantum fluctuations. You see, because of the uncertainty that's literally baked into the laws of quantum mechanics, even the emptiest possible space can never have exactly zero energy. It's always fizzing. It's constantly borrowing a little bit of energy to create pairs of tiny particles that pop into existence and then, poof, vanish back into nothing a split second later. This is happening everywhere, all the time, right now, right in front of you. And look, this isn't just some crazy theory on a whiteboard. These quantum fluctuations have real, actual, measurable effects. They can literally push two metal plates together in a vacuum. They slightly change the energy levels inside an atom. In fact, they're part of why elementary particles have mass at all. We've even measured them jiggling the huge human-sized mirrors at the LIGO experiment. Nothing, it turns out, is one of the busiest architects of our universe.
So, if the vacuum isn't nothing, if it's actually an energy state, that leads to a really unsettling question. We know things in nature always try to find their lowest, most stable energy state. So, is our universe in the actual lowest state, or is it just kind of chilling on the edge of a cosmic cliff?
The idea is that our universe might be in what physicists call a false or metastable vacuum. The best way to picture it is to imagine a rock that's rolled into a little dip on the side of a huge mountain. It feels stable, right? It's settled. But it's not in the deepest valley at the very bottom. All it would take is one little nudge, and it would start rolling all the way down to a much more stable state. And that's the scary part. Our whole reality could be just like that rock, fundamentally temporary.
So what would that nudge actually look like? Well, a totally random quantum fluctuation somewhere out in the cosmos could theoretically tip one tiny patch of our universe into that true lower energy vacuum. And the result? A bubble of this new reality would expand at almost the speed of light, rewriting the laws of physics as it goes, and just demolishing everything in its path. You never even see it coming. And if you thought that was weird, string theory comes along and says, hold my beer. It proposes something even stranger, the bubble of nothing. The physicist Edward Witten worked out that if these tiny, extra dimensions that string theory predicts are real, one of them could just spontaneously collapse. Imagine one of the threads that makes up reality just snapping. It would create an expanding hole in space-time that eats reality from the inside out. Not new physics, just absence. True nothingness.
Okay, so all of these absolutely mind-bending concepts from physics, they kind of force us to step back and grapple with the oldest, most fundamental question there is. Why is there anything at all? The universe, the laws that govern it, you, me. Why isn't there just a blank, empty void? The answers people have come up with are, well, they're all over the map.
So you've got a few big schools of thought here. One is the brute fact idea, famously argued by Bertrand Russell. It basically says, the universe doesn't need a reason. It just is. Deal with it. Then you have a physicist answer from Frank Wilczek, who suggests that nothing is unstable. A state of true, absolute nothing is so fragile that it would just naturally collapse into something. And then there's the classical argument for a necessary being, from thinkers like Leibniz, that there must be some kind of first cause that exists by its own nature and is the foundation for everything else.
But what if we've been asking the question in the wrong way this whole time? So far, we've talked about nothing as a physical state, or the lack of one. But there's another great intellectual tradition that sees nothingness in a totally different light, not as a thing, but as a way of seeing.
In Buddhist philosophy, there's this core concept called shunyata, which translates to emptiness. Now, this is crucial. It's not about an empty void out there in space. It's about the absence of a fixed, permanent, independent identity inside of things. The idea is that nothing exists all by itself. Everything is interconnected and only exists in relation to everything else.
Early Buddhist texts used these incredibly beautiful, poetic images to get this across. They said, our physical bodies are like foam. Our feelings are like a bubble in water. Our perceptions are like a mirage. They all seem solid, real, permanent. But if you look closely, you see they're temporary. They depend on other things, and they don't have some solid, unchanging core. They're empty of that solid self we think they have.
As the 14th Dalai Lama puts it here, this doesn't mean things aren't real. Of course, your chair is real, your thoughts are real, but they're real interdependently. They're empty of any kind of absolute standalone chairness. Their reality is woven into the reality of everything else. It's a completely different way of looking at the world.
Man, what a wild ride, huh? We started way back in 1654 with Otto von Guericke proving that nothing could beat a team of horses. Then we jumped to the 1970s, and physicists figure out the vacuum is actually a buzzing hive of activity. That leads to the terrifying idea of vacuum decay in the 80s. And now string theory is talking about a whole landscape of almost countless different kinds of nothingness.
So we've gone from a physical force to the seething foam at the heart of reality, from the end of the universe to a profound way of seeing the world. It turns out nothing is anything but empty. It's one of the biggest, most important, most challenging ideas we've got.
Which really leaves us with one last huge question to chew on. Is nothing what we always thought it was? The total absence of everything? Or is it the total opposite? Is it the ultimate foundation, the wellspring of potential, the blank canvas from which everything we know and see actually emerges? What do you think?